But if you go back and look at the very, very beginning of where all of this really started to take place, it's a fascinating story. But Carl Jung, who, by the way, I'm tackling his book right now, and as y'all know, he's one of my psychological, psych, philosophical heroes, I guess, if you will. He had a conversation with a guy who was trying to get sober, and they couldn't understand the malady. They couldn't understand why people kept going to the drink and going to the opium and going to whatever the substance was at the time that was really prevalent. And so this guy ended up going to, I believe it was to Switzerland, and that's where Carl Jung was. And he was, helping out at a mental institution, because that's pretty much how they handled you back in the day. If you had an addiction to a substance, you just got thrown into a psych ward, and they ran a bunch of tests on you, and oftentimes it didn't work, right? But Carl Jung is a guy who came into the science world as a psychologist, a psychiatrist, philosophy in general. But he started realizing that there's a spiritual element to all of this. And he was scared to admit that and to say that, because he would become discredited. Back in the day, if you're in the field of science, you can't intertwine religion into that, right? And you would be seen as a kook. And so a lot of Carl Jung's work would have been discredited. But he ended up telling the story to this guy, who ended up telling it to another guy, who told it to Ebby Thatcher.